Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. It's garden tour day. So let's get started. We are gardening in Zone 6 in Northwest Ohio. Oh, first things first, we have some corn that we seeded together and a blueberry plant. I'll explain that later. Anyway, so we are in Zone 6, Northwest Ohio, in my backyard garden. So let's start in the berry area today. Well, the orchard really. So we have dwarf fruit trees or semi-dwarf fruit trees planted through here. If they're not dwarf, then we have pruned them to be dwarfs. um, but most of them are dwarf trees. And then we have a row of beds along here that are for our berries. It's getting bright. So starting over here, we have sorry for the sounds of the mower. They're mowing the field nearby. We have a plum tree. We have an everbearing mulberry tree. We have a peach tree. We have a cherry tree. We have a pear tree. And we have 4 apples. We have a Fuji, a Macintosh, a Jonathan, and a Honeycrisp. And then we also have a fig tree right there. And then we have another fig tree and another mulberry in pots that I thought were dead, but they've made a comeback. So we have all of our trees planted over here. And then in this bed right here, we have around the outside of the bed, ignore the weeds, around the outside of the bed, there's alpine strawberries. They're the white strawberries that taste like a strawberry and a pineapple got together and had a baby. And then we have white currants, a Blanc currant, and then we have a pink champagne currant as well that we planted this spring. And then we do have the alpine strawberries running all the way down this row. They're planted around all the other berries. So this bed has blackberries. This bed has blackberries as well. This bed, well, this not bed, this plant right here is a grape. We have 3 grape plants. So this is the first of the grape plants, and I've them planted in between so that they can hit the first row, grow up again, and hit the second row of our trellising system that runs the entire length. So here we have our fall gold raspberries, which are delicious. They're a little sweeter, a little less tart. And we just finished with our spring, early summer flush, and then they will produce again in the fall. This is another grape plant. And then this is the first of our blueberry beds. So this first one is a pink lemonade blueberry. And these have been delicious. Really good. Really good. I'm glad I got 2 of those plants. So we have 2 of the pink lemonades, 2 of the North Country, and 2 of the jelly bean varieties. So there's 2 blueberries. These are our mulberry and figs. 2 more blueberries. Another grape. And then 2 more blueberries. And this last bed that is being taken over by the weeds, we added this year. And I wasn't sure what kind of fruit I wanted to put in there. So I had some leftover onion starts, so I put them in. But this week we are going to harvest all of these onions, and then after we harvest those onions, I have that blueberry. Where did it go? The blueberry is on the table over there. We have another blueberry plant that we're going to add here, and that one is a larger variety, so definitely going to need more room in here. So I'm excited to get that started. But we're going to have to top off the bed. I'll take you guys through all that when we do it. And then we have our living fence. So this property over here is owned by a school, and they had this chain link fence. So my privacy fence joins up to it on both sides. And then I wanted a green living fence. And so we have 20 arborvitae that are along this row. And then since they, you know, spray with Roundup or whatever to clean the fence line, I did a row of wildflowers as like a buffer in between with a lot of sunflowers, since sunflowers are known to pull toxins out of the soil. So along this row, some of them are already done and the birds are munching on them, and that's fine because they'll spill out all of their seeds and reseed themselves, fingers crossed. But along this row, we have a ton of sunflowers and wildflowers. I'll take you through so you can see everything. So this is our first guy. Talk about a will to live. He went through the fence about 3 different ways and is now growing on the other side. So we have the blue bachelor buttons. We have some dwarf sunflowers. We have our evening sunflowers. Mr. B. We have cosmos. This giant one that the bees are really happy about. We have cosmos, bachelor buttons, marigolds, asters. Look at this. Just beautiful. Now we do have some sweet pea. I planted like a half a pack of sweet pea, but really only these came up. So I'm excited that they came up. They smell amazing. Brings me back to the Bath and Body days of the sweet pea lotions. We have white cosmos, more sunflowers. I did a variety pack, so all kinds of different sunflowers in here. And the birds have really been enjoying, and all the pollinators have been enjoying having these sunflowers. Last week, it was pretty magical because they were all standing up. And then we have our milkweed patch. We have a lot of butterflies that come through here, so I love that we have a milkweed patch that's naturalized. More cosmos and sunflowers going all the way down. Then we have our chicken coop. We have 6 adult hens in there. One of them is broody, so she's not showing herself. And then we have 4 chicks. We have, or 4 pullets. We have 2 Americanas and 2 black copper Morans. And they are going to start spending their days in that little area for the next couple days, just so that the girls can't get to them. So that way they're safe and protected, but they're also getting used to each other for the transition of when they're all going to be living together in the coop. So next to the coop, we have our first 2 brassica cages, and we have Brussels sprouts growing in there. We grew broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbages in there. And now it's just a few Brussels sprouts that are still going strong in there. We have cabbage moths really bad, so it's necessary when growing brassica. And then behind the cages, there is a flower box that has some violas in there. And those have been going strong since, I think, April, March. And then around the bottom, around the chicken coop, we just added together this new cottage garden. We expanded our cottage garden feel, basically. And so we added all of these perennial plants that are going to be beautiful and kind of take over and be just kind of a magical little fairyland feel. And then we have our first of our 2 green stalks. And these are planted up with strawberries, with red strawberries, a mix of everbearing and Junebearing. And I have a strawberry asparagus bed there with 7 million strawberry plants at the bottom of it. And so I just keep taking them and plugging them in little by little, and then they take over. So we loved having them in there. So we have more of the cottage garden. And then on this side, we have our bee balm and lavender and just a whole bunch of lovely perennials, daylilies. And then we have our geo bins. We have our 2 composting bins. We have a, I love these geo bins. You just throw them in, you don't have to turn it, don't have to do anything, and it produces compost for us all the time. I do put a area in the middle so that airflow can get through the whole thing, and it's just been awesome. Our chicken coop with the door so that we can clean it out there. We use the deep litter method, so not a ton of cleaning that has to be done, but when we do, it can go straight into the compost bin, which is a really nice system. And then this is our first garden bed. So this garden bed, or the raised beds that are not on the berry side. So this was the first part of the garden that we put in, was this side right here. So we'll start with Olivia's bed. My daughter Olivia has her own bed, and she has mostly flowers along the front. She's got snapdragons and zinnias and cosmos and marigolds and baby's breath and all kinds of wonderful things. And then we also did birdhouse gourds in this bed. You guys, I did not know how aggressive these plants were. We planted 2 plants and they have completely taken over. There's an 8-foot cattle panel arch trellis over her bed. And I have hacked this thing back so many times, and it is still the most aggressive growing plant I've ever had in my garden. So beware if you plant these. But we're excited to be able to have all these, dry them out, and hopefully, if it works, have a row of birdhouses along the fence line too. So that'll be fun. We do have a couple random bean plants in there. We're done harvesting those. So at this point, we're just letting them dry up so that we can save them for seeds for next year. That's the goal. So the second bed here is our straw flower masterpiece. We have never grown straw flowers before, and these are so cool. Um, we just love the noise, and they're beautiful, and just such a striking plant. So we're excited that we grew these. Definitely gonna come through and pick off all these heads that are starting to go to seed so that we have them for next year as well. And then our brassica cage has Brussels sprouts and some kale inside there as well. We did grow the elephant garlic in this area. So this will forever now be the elephant garlic area because elephant garlic drops these little, I don't know if they're corns or combs, I'm not sure, but they drop these. And so all through the soil, they basically reseeded and replanted themselves. So this will forever be a garlic area, which is totally fine with me. And then this next bed has zinnia on the edge. And then we planted a fall planting of determinate tomatoes. So we have San Marzano, which I know are semi-determinate. This particular variety that I got from my gardener, when I grew them last year, I tried to grow them as an indeterminate tomato up the stake. And they stopped growing at like 3 or 4 feet and just kind of bushed out. And I was like, I'm going to try them as a determinate. So this year is an experiment. We're doing them as a determinate. Plus, we also have a couple more varieties of Granadero and a banana legs as well. And then we have transplanted 3 ground cherries because they were growing as volunteers in the garden. And I love a volunteer. I figure if it wants to live, then I will give it a chance. So we've got a full bed for fall harvesting, which I love doing. And then on the front of these beds, we have pots of sweet potatoes. So there's sweet potatoes. These are just extra plants that I haven't planted yet because I always have extras. So we have pots of sweet potatoes growing. We love to grow our potatoes in pots. Sweet potatoes are no exception. So we have the pots of the sweet potatoes, and then more plants that haven't been planted yet. Beautiful marigolds. Now I will say these were they were labeled as white marigolds, and they're definitely yellow. And I planted them in multiple places, and they're still beautiful though. They're like a really pale yellow. I love them. I'm gonna save seeds, but they're for sure not white. And the zinnias, they're just so beautiful. I think they're amazing. And these ones that look like more than doubles, I'm going to save seeds from those because they are absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So this is our first tomato bed. We have 2 dedicated tomato beds, and then I stuck a few extra plants in the third one over there. But so these are our indeterminate tomatoes, and we have them growing up these furring strips. I don't know if you can hear that airplane, but if you can, I apologize. Um, I live near a private airport, and so there's jets taking off all the time. But so there are indeterminate tomatoes going up these furring strips. So we have them pruned to a single stem. In between the rows, I did grow carrots. We just harvested our second harvesting of carrots together. And I love growing them that way because they start in the early spring, they grow right in the middle there, and then right about the time that tomatoes really need extra airflow, you harvest all the carrots and then you have beautiful airflow. And I love just doing high intensity planting like that. So these are all of our indeterminate tomatoes. We have, I think, 25 or 26 varieties. We have Moonbeam, Blue Beach. We have Champagne Bubbles, Black Cherries, Sheboygan, Dark Muscat Orange. That's just the ones on this row. These black cherry ones are absolutely beautiful, though. Absolutely beautiful. My neighbors are doing a little bit of construction on their house, so if you hear some saws or power tools going, that's just real life. Okay, so in here, we also have the back side of our trellis. I have these cattle panel arch trellises going in between the next few beds, and that's where we are growing our personal sized melons. I love that, and I'll show you how we grow those. We also have dill and basil interplanted in between all of these tomato plants to confuse the bad bugs and to attract the pollinators. So on this side, we have striped Roma, Kellogg's Breakfast, Powers Tomato, and Amish Paste, all growing on this side of the trellis, of the bed. And then on this trellis, we have Sugar Baby watermelons, and I think we have a couple different kinds of melons over here. We have Sugar Baby watermelon, Prescott Fond Blanc, and Prescott Fond Blanc and Sugar Baby watermelons. And we grow them in these net bags. And then once they're completely ripe, they will fall off into the bags. And then you know that they're ready. Looks like I need to get some more bags out here, which I love. And then on this side of the trellis, we have sweet passion melons and Kajari melons. We have a ton of these growing as well. One of these is almost ripe. And then on the back side here, we have Sunray tomatoes, and you can see our tomatillo plants on the back side as well, which are overflowing with yummy goodness. So not only do I interplant herbs in here, but I also have nasturtiums, which technically are edible, but I don't really enjoy the flavor. It's more like a spicy lettuce, which I'm not a huge fan of. But these are great trap crops. If you were to get aphids or something like that, they're more attracted to these than to your plants. And I just love the look of them. Next, we have some more basil, and then Olivia's fairy garden that has some echinacea growing there, and then a little watering station for the bees and all of the things that she's collected. Over here, we have some plants that need trimmed back, some perennials. On this side, we have a few onions that are still going. When the onions flop over like this, then they're ready to harvest. You can just pull them straight out of the ground, let them dry, and then tonight I'll bring them in. These are our red wing onions. We did red wing and Patterson, and they're doing amazing. They make huge, delicious fruit, and they store, both of those types are storage onions, so they store for a really long time, and I love that. So over on this side, we have, I don't know if I said what kind of tomatoes are on this side. On this side, we have Dr. Witchy, I'm not sure how you say that. Orange ox heart, pink ox heart, and gold medal. And then on this side, we have Ukrainian purple. What is that? Thornbury, I think. Paul Robeson, tomato pineapple, and then two types of tomatillos. We have the green and then the purple tomatillos. So those are delicious as well. And then over here we have our herbs. So we have thyme, oregano, garlic chives, and parsley. I need to harvest the parsley, but a black-tailed swallowfly butterfly has been laying her eggs all over the parsley. It's one of their preferred crops, so I'm going to leave that there until all the caterpillars have a chance to do their thing. And then we also have in this bed a sub pot that is another composting system that I love. So the worms go in and out and make this bed super rich in nutrients. And then this is about to be where we plant our baby corn. We're growing baby corn and butter. It's called butter gold corn, which is an early maturing variety of sweet corn. So I have them started on that table in the tray. We started them together, and those are going to be coming in after our current crop of sweet corn is done, and I'm excited about those. So coming from the worm bed to the next one, we have some echinacea coneflower here, and then this is our pepper area. We do have one basil plant. So in here we have bell peppers of all different varieties. We have the lilac ones, which are absolutely beautiful. We have yellow, orange, lime. We have the mini rainbow. Just a huge variety of different color peppers in here. And then on that half of the bed, we have our spicy but mild selection. So we have ancho, jalapeno, we have arroz con pollo, we have Anaheim, all the peppers. And then these are our last two tomatoes that we have. So we have a Valencia, and I'll have to check on that side what this is. This was our lettuce area. It has since bolted because we've had a ton of 90-some degree days, but you can see the back side of another melon trellis, which is just in all of its glory. I love the way those look when they're covered. And I love the fact that there's little melons waiting in bags for me to harvest. So this is the pepper bed, and then we move to the next bed, which has another brassica cage. Inside here had several cabbages. There's just two left to go. And then in the pot at the end, there's some rudbeckia. These are the cherry, I think cherry brandy or cherry blossom. And then we did have some from last year. I'll show you. There's only one surviving one from last year of the Sahara kind, which are my absolute favorite. So I'm excited that they made it. But on the other side, so we have these melons over here and then melons over here. Let me see what varieties we have. So over here we have, first let's see if I can find them. Okay, so those are Goldie Slicer tomatoes. And then over here we have Honey Rock, Cantaloupe, and let's see what the other one is. Pie de Sapo melon, which is this one, which I haven't tried yet, so I'm excited about those. And then on this side, we have more melons. What do we have over here? We have Delice de la Table and what is this guy? Chanteray. So I've not tried either of those before. So I'm excited to try those and see what they taste like. The peppers are so happy in this bed. We've been able to harvest so many of these Anaheims. It's been awesome. That cabbage is ready. They both are probably. So as soon as I harvest those, I will put some lettuce or something delicious in their place. So coming from that brassica cage, behind it, there's another brassica cage that has some more Brussels sprouts in it. Now these were our sugar snap peas, our sweet peas, not sweet peas, sugar snap peas, and they have long since been done because of the heat. However, I'm letting them keep going and maturing all the way and drying. And then once they dry off, we harvest the pods so that we have seeds for next year because we really enjoyed this variety. And you have to plant a lot of pea seeds, so we love being able to save and harvest them. So this is our cucumber trellis on this side. So we had sweet sugar snap peas on this side, and then all of our cucumbers were on this side. We did 3 varieties of cucumbers. We did the Corinthos, which is like a slicing cucumber. Very, very, very productive. Highly recommend. We also did a pickling cucumber. Okay, my friend, this is where my microphone died and I did not know it. So, editing Holly here, I'm going to go ahead and jump back in later on today with me finishing up this tour. Okay, so 3 types of pickles or cucumbers. We have the Corinthos, which are heavy producers. We have the pickling cucumbers, which are also heavy producers. And then my favorite is actually the unagi, which is like a greenhouse cucumber, burpless, like an English cucumber style. Super delicious. And then we have our red wing onions. There was a big patch of them that were done early, so I pulled those in, and these are the rest of them that are getting large and delicious. We have our Sahara Rudbeckia. This is my favorite kind, and this is the only one that germinated of this kind. All the rest of them were the cherry blossoms, so I'm excited to have those. And then back behind there, there's 2 celery plants that I need to keep harvesting off of. And then this is our perennial asparagus strawberry bed. And this is really a great idea in terms of a permaculture idea. It's got the living mulch underneath with the strawberries that are going to mulch it out so not a lot of weeds grow. This is great in theory. But since my beds are 8x4, it's a little tricky to get all the way to the middle and not be attacked by the ferns of the asparagus plants when you're harvesting strawberries. So I've been taking these plants little by little and putting them in the green stalks because a vertical growing solution in this instance I think is just going to be better. And then this is the last bed, and this has the sweet corn, and then it had some Patterson onions in the front. You can see that this one has gone to seed, so I will use that one up because it's not going to store at all. And then I had blackberries in here for 1 year, and I have pulled out 747 million of these blackberries. They want to live here forever, so I keep pulling them out, giving them away, transplanting them, throwing them away, all the things. You name it, I do it. So anyway, that is the garden tour for mid-July 2024. And I want to thank you guys so much for all the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more growing and preserving and just awesome garden stuff to do. So thank you so much. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.